Okay, so hey guys, welcome to another episode of TechGyan, and in this video we will be talking about how Sony can make a perfect comeback in 2021, or in short you can say how to fix Sony Mobile Division. So let's get started. So let's start with the first thing, and the first thing is changing the audience. So as you have seen, all the Sony smartphone, whether it be Sony Xperia 1, the 1 Mark II, 5 or 5 Mark II, or even the Sony Xperia Pro, all this recent Sony smartphone focus on a very niche type of audience, and most of those are professional. So it is clear that Sony focuses more on professional and especially those who are in production industry. Let's take an example of Sony Xperia Pro. It's a normal 1 Mark II with an HDMI port, so it can be used as a viewfinder in professional cameras like the mirrorless cameras from Sony or other cameras, and even the 1 Mark II, which has a 4K display and a 21:9 aspect ratio, which is not for the general audience, and it shows that it is clearly focused for the professionals who watch professional content all the time. General audience doesn't always consume the media which is shot by professional cameras, or in short a professional media like you guys, like me. We generally watch YouTube videos on our smartphones, and those are most of the YouTube videos are shot in either 16:9 aspect ratio or 18:9 aspect ratio, or even max to max 19:9 aspect ratio, and the 21:9 aspect ratio media is very less in YouTube. So it clearly shows that Sony is more focused towards the a very niche type of audience, a very niche type of customers, all the professionals. Sony is targeting to them only, so it is making their sales very less. So if Sony wants to come back in smartphone market, and if Sony wants to grow their customer base, then they surely have to focus on general audience, not a very niche type of audience which are very less in number. Second thing Sony should focus on is their naming. Don't get me wrong, but Sony is terrible in naming. First there were XZ smartphones like the XZ Premium, XZ1, XZ2 and XZ3. Then suddenly Sony launched the Xperia 1, which is a good name and should signify a series. But then Sony launched its Sony Xperia 5, which on hearing seems like it's an upgrade over the Xperia 1, but in reality it is quite opposite to that. It looks like the Xperia 5 is their premium flagship, and the Sony Xperia 1 is their toned down version of Sony Xperia 5, or some sort of upper mid-range smartphone. But in reality, the Sony Xperia 5 is a toned down version of Sony Xperia 1. Like, the Sony Xperia 1 comes with a 4K HDR display, a bigger display and wireless charging, while the Sony Xperia 5 comes with a smaller Full HD display with no wireless charging and a compact smartphone. And it looks like that Sony doesn't focus on their naming. Also next year they launch the Sony Xperia 1 Mark II, or some people say it's and Sony 1 2, and it is a very confusing type of naming, and it doesn't signify any series. I would be happy if Sony would have launched like the Sony Xperia 1, Sony Xperia 2, 3. That should have been the series, but that Sony Xperia 1 Mark II, 5 Mark II and so on, that is very confusing to the customer. At least to the general audience it is very confusing. So what Sony needs to do is that it should discontinue all of its older smartphone, even the Sony Xperia 1 Mark II and Sony Xperia Pro, all it should discontinue, and it should introduce some new series and with namings like Sony Xperia Mark 1, Sony Xperia Mark II, Sony Xperia Mark 3, and goes on like that. Or even the Sony Xperia 1, Sony Xperia 2, Sony Xperia 3, that should be the ideal naming of all the Sony smartphones. So Sony needs severely to change their naming pattern and make them less confusing and simple for the general audience. By the way, if you are enjoying the video, then the like to the video will be fantabulous, and subscribe to the channel would be miraculous. And yes, miracles do happen, like you have liked the video, you have shared the video, and you have subscribed to the channel. That's a miracle. Our third point comes here is eliminating unusable features. Sony is the only and the first company in the world to have its smartphones equipped with a 4K display, 4K HDR display, and it is probably one of the very few companies of the world to have its smartphones with a 21:9 aspect ratio. And in real life they aren't very useful. Honestly, they aren't very useful. You can barely see a difference between a 4K display and a quad HD display on a smartphone. In fact, the 4K displays are made for TVs and bigger screens. They are not very suitable for the smartphones, because our smartphone is very small and our smartphone can't take the full advantage of those 4K displays. And even the 21:9 aspect ratio display isn't very useful in our day-to-day life, because you can only take your smartphone display's full potential of a 21:9 aspect ratio display only when you are watching any movie or a content or a professional content which is shot in 21:9 aspect ratio. And instead of that, the 21:9 display isn't very useful in day-to-day life. Yes, you can say that in multitasking it helps a lot, but very few people do multitasking. On one time they do only one task. So I don't think that the 21:9 display is very useful in our day-to-day life. So what Sony should do, instead of providing a 4K display, provide a Quad HD display. Instead of providing a 21:9 display, provide a 20:9 display or a 19:9 display. In short, eliminate all the unusable features on your smartphone and provide some usable ones which can help in day-to-day life. Fourth thing that Sony needs to do is advertising. You can see very less videos or handful of videos in which this creator is reviewing any Sony smartphone, because Sony doesn't work with creators and that hurts the Sony's business. Even the Apple didn't send their review unit to the creators, but nowadays Apple is also sending their review units to the creators like Unbox Therapy and other creators. So Apple is also trying very hard to win over the Android versus iOS war. And since Sony is an Android smartphone brand, so Android versus Android war is even more complex than the Android versus iOS war. So to really shine out of the market and to really reach to the potential customer, Sony needs to advertise and work with creators, and Sony needs to send their review units to the creators so that creators can make videos about them and their audience get to know about the Sony smartphones. And yes, if Sony wants to send me a review unit, I will be more than happy to review it. Now let's talk how a perfect Sony 2021 smartphone would be. First of all, I won't mind if Sony launches only flagship and upper mid-range smartphones. Even if Sony launches only flagship smartphones, I don't mind. And in fact, Sony should not launch any budget smartphone or lower mid-range smartphone, because the competition is very high in budget segment, and Sony is known for providing quality materials and quality things. And if company is providing all the things in a budget smartphone or a budget range, then they needs to compromise with quality. So instead of not matching with the Sony standards, Sony should not launch any budget smartphone or lower mid-range smartphone or even the upper mid-range smartphones. Sony should launch only flagships. So now let's talk how a Sony 2021 flagship should be. Talking about the naming should be Sony Xperia 1 or Sony Xperia Mark 1. That should be the ideal naming. So talking of design, I don't like that gradient finish and fancy colors. Instead, I would love to have those older Sony Xperia 1 or Sony Xperia 1 Mark II design if Sony gives it, because a premium subtle design and premium design with matte black version or a matte white version, that would be the perfect Sony smartphone, looking like professional and having professional features. Talking about the display, it should have a Quad HD 6.5 or 6.6 inch 120Hz variable refresh rate HDR10 plus certified Super AMOLED display with 1.7 billion colors. And if you guys don't know, then let me tell you that the Sony Xperia 1 and Sony Xperia 1 Mark II comes with 1.7 billion colors, so that's nothing new for them. Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 Plus with 5G, 8/12 GB of fast LPDDR5 RAM with 256 GB or 512 GB fast UFS 3.1 storage. Talking about the camera, at the back it should have a 50 megapixel large sensor, custom Sony sensor, which is made available to the OnePlus 9 series, or even if possible a more high quality sensor than that, a high quality ultra wide, a 3x or 5x telephoto, and a high quality macro camera, and all this equipped with Zeiss optics. At the front it should have a 32 megapixel large sensor, and if possible with an ultra wide sensor also. But here the thing is that even the older Sony smartphones like the Sony Xperia 1, 1 Mark II and other Sony smartphones, they come with a good and capable sensors, but their image processing wasn't very good. That's why their photos and videos weren't very good. So instead of working on image processing, Sony should partner with Gcam and outsource their default camera app as Gcam, a custom Gcam for their Sony cameras from Google, and it would be very great, while having their Cinema Pro and Photo Pro app for their pro photos and pro videography, also having that Sony legacy, that dedicated camera shutter button to launch and take the photos and videos and launch camera app, and it should be customizable. Speaking of battery, it should have a 4500 or a 5000 mAh cell or two 2500 mAh cell with 25 to 30 watt fast wired charging and 25 watt wireless charging, and I don't want that high watt charging so that it can degrade the battery life over time. So instead of providing a 4500 mAh cell, it should provide two 2500 mAh cell so that the charging can be done fast, even maintaining the low watts. Speaking of other miscellaneous features, it should come with an IP68 water and dust resistance, and there is no doubt in that new Sony phones will have those things because all the Sony smartphones are equipped with IP ratings. Gorilla Glass Victus at front and back, the beloved headphone jack that Sony bought in the Xperia 1 Mark II, also the bigger under display ultrasonic fingerprint scanner and dual stereo speakers. I don't like that stereo speakers which are at bottom and at top. Instead of providing there, Sony should provide them at the front so that the experience should be great. And I don't mind if Sony keeps some small chin and small head for the stereo speakers. So instead of providing dual stereo speakers at bottom and top, it should provide at front. And speaking of software front, the perfect fit for the Sony Xperia smartphones would be the Xperia UI, the clean UI with close to stack 100 feeling with some extra features and no any ads or bloatwares. That should be the perfect skin or perfect UI for Sony smartphones. And at last but not the least, and probably the most important thing, that is the pricing. And keeping in mind all these features and Sony brand name, Sony quality, the quality that Sony provides in its smartphone, the pricing should be anywhere between 75 to 80,000, and I won't even mind if it goes to 85,000 or 90,000 because the Samsung smartphones are also coming very costly and iPhones are very costly, and even every other company is raising their smartphones price. So I won't mind if Sony comes with this quality of smartphone and this specs of smartphone with 75 or 80 or even 85,000 price tag, and it would be a perfect smartphone for Sony for the year 2021. So those were my thoughts on how a perfect Sony smartphone of 2021 should be and how to fix the Sony smartphone division. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed the video, first of all, very thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a huge thumbs up, share it everywhere on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, share it everywhere and tag Sony, Sony India, Sony Global, Sony USA, every Sony handle present on their social media so that it can reach to Sony and Sony can make a perfect comeback in 2021. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing tech videos. See you guys in the next video. Till then, this is Karan Garde signing off.